At the end of the topic, you will be able to identify the factors that gave rise to the nationalist feelings in India, recognize the atrocities done by the British against all classes of Indians, describe the contact with European countries, recognize the reasons for the setting up of railways and means of communication by the British, explain the role played by the founding fathers of the national awakening in spreading nationalism, evaluate the role of Indian press and literature, estimate the revolt of 1857.
Introduction. The British followed a stepmotherly approach towards all sections of the Indian society, from the king to nobles to the artisans, peasants and soldiers. Everyone had grievances against the British rule in India. With this kind of humiliation and exploitation, the Indians very soon realized the need for self-rule and developed nationalistic feelings.
Factors leading to the rise of national movement, British Imperialism. The British Imperialism was the most important factor for the rise of the nationalist movement. The British brought about the unification of the country by bringing the whole of India under their control. There was no unity among the Indians before the arrival of the British. The people of India started thinking as one nation due to British imperialism. Contact with the European countries. India came into close contact with various European countries due to the result of British supremacy. For the educated Indians, English language became their language. The Indians started to adopt the ideas and culture of Western countries. The unification of Germany and Italy motivated the Indians to fight for their freedom. Modern methods of transport and communication.
The main causes for the growth of nationalistic feelings in India and the need for freedom were the introduction of English education, common exploitation of all classes by the English. Development of railways and communication network brought about better connectivity among people, due to which exchange of ideas became easier. The British introduced English as a language for the Indians, so that the English-knowing Indians could be employed in government offices at the lowest cadres with minimum salaries. The English language united the learned Indians, and they were now exposed to Western ideas of liberalism, democracy, and equality. English became a common language for expressing discontentment against the British.
The great leaders of India. The works of great scholars, poets, and national leaders played a major role in the development of the national movement. Some of the great contributors were Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Swami Vivekananda, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Jawaharlal Nehru, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Self-respect and self-confidence was the idea with which they inspired the people. People were encouraged to fight against the foreign rule. The Indian press and literature. The spread of national consciousness among the masses was accelerated by Indian press and literature. They stamped the mind of the people with ideals of freedom. The public opinion was resounded and developed a national outlook among the masses through newspapers like the Indian Mirror, Bombay Samacheer, the Amrit Bazar Patrika, the Hindu, the Kesari and Maratha. National awakening among the Indians came through the writings of Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Rabindranath Tagore and Subramanya Bharati. The freedom of the press was restricted by the Vernacular Press Act of 1878, which led to the agitation and unrest among the people. The Revolt of 1857. The Revolt of 1857, also known as the First War of Indian Independence, was a prolonged period of armed uprisings in different parts of India against the British. The Great Revolt was brutally crushed by the English. The rule of the British was hated by the Indians as they were badly humiliated. The national awakening began to spring out and developed as the revolt was not completely suppressed. It finally led to the freedom of India. Racial discrimination. The British started to implement the policy of divide and rule. They openly insulted even the English-educated Indians and followed a policy of racial superiority. The Indians were banned from high posts that were reserved only for the English. Indians were considered as inferior and uncivilized by the British. The Ilbert Bill was passed in the year 1883 by Viceroy Ripon. This bill was proposed to allow Indian judges and magistrates to try the British offenders in criminal cases at the district level. It was made clear that the Indians could not expect justice and fair play from the English through the controversial Ilbert Bill. In this topic, you have learnt the British ill-treated all sections of Indians. This gave rise to nationalist feelings among the Indians. English language, railways, and communication became important medium of exchange among the Indians. The unification of Germany and Italy also motivated the Indians. National leaders had an important role in the national awakening. Indian press and literature helped spread national consciousness among Indians. The failure of the Great Revolt of 1857 made educated Indians think about a new type of nationalist political organization. Racial discrimination was another cause for national awakening among Indians.